Welcome back to Hall of Fame College Football with Jason and the coach. I'm your host, Jason Watkins. He's the coach, Philip Roybal. And if you love college football, you know you're in the right place. So before you forget, smash that red subscriber button, like our videos, and don't forget to ring the bell so you don't miss one moment of Hall of Fame College Football. Welcome to the show, everybody. What's up? High top sports recruiting that looks to be. I'm gonna guess that's the professor, I believe. Brantley Tennant. Welcome to the show, sir. Mars Jams. Everybody check in as you get in. Make sure you wipe your feet. Hit that like button. If you're not already a subscriber to the show, please become a subscriber. Hankster, welcome in, sir. Yeah.
Hey, Hank, you can't give me any shit today, okay?
Yeah, right. That's happening. That's just like we might as well just put him on out.
Hey, I love me some Hank. I love me some Hank.
I know.
I thought.
Hey, there's our boy from Louisiana, loving them Sooners. What's up there, Kai? Yo, good to see you, my man. Hank the Tank, Mars. Let's see who else we got. Thank you, sir. Welcome in. Glad to see everybody. I'm gonna talk a little bit. Yeah, wipe them feet. I don't know how many of you guys, as far as you Sooner fans are concerned. I mean, I'm still feeling good. You got some good things that have been going on. Another big commitment for Oklahoma today. Tristan Haynes, cornerback from Carl Albert. Another tall, 6'1", 180-pound corners. Those guys that can get up with those, good ball skills, and you can play one-on-one with those big boys on the edges, right?
You guys from friggin' Oklahoma are killing me on these back in the secondary. I thought we might have an outside shot at Hank.
I didn't know if you were gonna. I didn't know. Well, they had him expected to go to Notre Dame for a while. I think that the way it's shaken out, it was going to be the last guy to get it and I think that in the last few weeks, here's the thing, and this is what, Coach, we've been talking a lot about this, but I said it on this last show that I did the other day, was the main things that you continue to hear from these guys that are committing, and that includes Dominic Williams in the transfer portal from TCU, was that they build these relationships with the families, with them. They make them feel like they are a priority, 100%. And so one of the priorities if you're an Oklahoma coach, you have to win the state of Oklahoma. Anywhere you are, you need to win that state, correct? Yeah. So he's made, where Lincoln Riley didn't make that a priority, he has made that a big priority for OU. They wanted to make sure they got that. Now they possibly lost out on the guy, one of the other corners they were looking at from Houston. Because of it, it looks like he might be going to go to A&M. But I still feel like you're doing the things that you have to see him do. And I mean, this is a guy that, yes, Notre Dame was in on him. Georgia was in on him. Bama was in on him. A&M was in on him. I don't think that Texas gave him an offer because he was in Oklahoma City. So what would you expect? They knew better. But here's what it is. He
was a big timer, man. He's a big timer.
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
Kudos to you guys.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But hey, and I don't want to hear you bitching too much anyway, Coach, because you guys are freaking recruiting at number one still. Got the number one class. So I don't want to really hear you bitching.
No, and I'm not bitching. I'm not. You know what? I'm excited that it came down probably to you guys and us.
It did
again. Again, I mean, look at the parallels we've been talking about, and y'all. It's hard. I don't care who you are. You got to, and you already said it, you got to keep those in-state kids, and especially kids like Tristan. You've got to keep them. Yeah. I mean, if you let them out the door, then that'll cause you some issues as a head coach.
No doubt, and I think that's Those are the kids that, they're there for more than just that. Again, I also think that, it's not that you don't have to play the NIL game, because we both know that you have to. But if that's what you're recruiting them on solely, it's not going to be enough. Right. So, all the talk about, when Texas loses somebody like Dominic Williams, then of course, now Oklahoma, it's not Broklahoma anymore. Now all of a sudden, they overpaid for him. They bought him, but any other time, it's Broklahoma, but that's where they were at with it. But of course, look, if you were Texas, and one of the things that I felt like we needed to probably talk about in that instance is that, look, Coach, you had LSU, Texas, Missouri, and apparently SC. Yeah, throw them down. And apparently SC were heavy trying to get this guy. And SC threw all their eggs in that basket, and then the other kid that ended up going to Oregon, of all places, the other Michigan State kid. And then LSU missed out on the one Michigan State. There was two kids that were supposed to go to that were from Michigan State on that defensive line. They end up losing him to Miami, so none of them. They don't get either one of them. Missouri, they're SEC, so whatever, and they apparently have whatever is concerned as far as the NIL is concerned. They've got some money there. But they're still freaking Mizzou. So, I wasn't really expecting them to make a big splash here whenever you've got programs like Oklahoma, Texas, LSU, and SC for that matter, that are chasing these big prospects down. I think that, and the question I guess I would have for you, who gets hurt most? I don't know that LSU or Texas is going to be ready for what's going to happen this year when you go up against some of the programs that you do that are going to have still deep and strong offensive lines. Now, what I would say is that LSU probably has one of the better offensive lines, but they're going to go up against some strong offensive lines as well. Alabama, you know what I mean? You're going to struggle there. And if you can't plug up the middle, you might as well call it a day against some of these programs, because that's what they're going to do.
Absolutely. Well, and you said LSU and who else? USC?
SC as well. SC's in trouble. SC's in trouble.
And that's what I was just fixing to say. SC, I don't want anybody to tell me shit about SC. Them some bitches are in deep shit. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't care how you slice it or dice it. I don't care that he went out and got all these high-powered defensive coaches. He's a day late and a dollar short, because now you got great coaches, but you're going to have to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, because they don't have the players on the defensive side of the ball, especially in
their NIL is way behind too. So they had the kid, what's his name? He's going to he went to Auburn though. So he came over from, I believe, Texas A&M. He was going to be that guy that ran next to Bear Alexander, which Bear Alexander is still one of the better players, I think. And they've got some good coaches that have come in, right? I mean, clearly the defense that he put together at UCLA last year was top 5, right? That's saying a lot whenever you were in a league that had the quarterbacks that they had in the Pac-12, right?
Right.
So, I mean, he knew what he was doing. What I would tell you is that you got to have some kind of and now, again, just like the SEC, what do they do in the Big Ten? Particularly the colder it gets, the more they run it up the middle.
Yep.
They've got to play against a Michigan team. They don't get Ohio State, so that's probably a good thing for them. Or no, do they get Ohio State? I forget. Anyway, but they got to deal with you guys, and you're going to run up the damn middle on them.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I think they are doing a great job on defense right now. High top, you're right about that, Professor. I know you are. But that's not going to help them right now. And here's the question. Do they hold on to those guys if they don't prove that they can play in the middle?
Nope, they're gone.
I mean, we're talking about, the number one Justice Terry's who you're talking about. He's a Georgia kid. He's a Georgia kid. You don't think that Georgia can talk him out of that freaking choice? Particularly when he's like, hey, man, this is still Lincoln Riley and what they do.
Same old shit. Different day.
Yeah. Can't play off freshmen. No, and I mean, they've got some guys that, I mean, it's just like anywhere else. And I think the same is true for what I would say about Texas is they've got some younger guys. They've recruited well, but they lost some guys too. And some of these, you know, when they didn't get the kid from UCLA, that wasn't good for them. And then they basically, you know, for them to say that they didn't bid the same amount or that they couldn't have overbid or that they didn't want to pay that much for Dominic Williams, it's bullshit. There's no two ways around that. There's no way that they didn't put the money out there. They were there in Fort Worth at the 11th hour trying to close him and didn't get it done. And it wasn't about money. I don't give a shit what they tell you. I don't. And that includes old Ketch over there. Freaking Jeff Ketchum. What a freaking clown. What a clown. Said he was trying to tell everybody that Texas doesn't care about the Red River game anymore. What? Okay. They cared about it. They care about it enough to fill up the freaking Cotton Bowl every year and talk all the shit in the world as long as they win, you know.
Well, maybe it's because they got their ass kicked last year, and so they're giving up. That's why they don't care about it.
Yeah. Arrogant Trojan still tweeting dog work. You know, the Trojans are weird, man. You know, and I've been watching, and I love USCJ. He's one of my boys. We all know what I think about Tim Prangley, you know, clown show. But I mean, and I think that they even had to admit on their show last night that I was watching that there's no way that they can hold up. You know, if they get to running the ball up the middle on you, and God forbid if Bear goes down at any point, because then what you got? Nothing. And I think that's where you're really hurting with Texas. And even Nino said it on this show a few minutes ago that Texas right now, they're gonna have to lean on their outside pass rush and stuff like that. So yeah, OU doesn't matter anymore. The OU game doesn't matter anymore. That's what Ketchum was saying, and it's just dumb stuff. You know, it don't even make any damn sense. But yes, that's exactly what the entire Big Ten does. They run up the freaking middle. The colder it gets to, the worse it gets. And so they're going to be in trouble. The best thing that you can do if you're USC probably would be something that you haven't seen Lincoln do since he got to USC, which is be heavy with the run. Don't try to outscore everybody. He doesn't really know how to play that way.
Nope.
That's not really his thing. It's going to force him to go out there and think that he has to outscore everybody when what you really need are a couple of 5, 6, 7 minute drives and no 3 and outs. What's up there? Chicken, Scott Schrader.
Chicken.
Tim comes across as arrogant. He is arrogant. He's full of shit too. Levy knows how to beat Texas, so bet on State for the upset of the year. Hey, you know something? I don't know about that for sure, but I have heard people saying that that's one of those teams that they're gonna hang one on somebody that they're not supposed to. You know. Yep. And look, I mean, Texas has been known to let some teams hang around longer than they should.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Look, it's just like it's the same story as them saying it didn't matter that they didn't get Dominic Williams. Or Jermaine Lole. You know, not only did Oklahoma could have gotten away with not getting either one of those guys. These guys couldn't have. They needed them. And I think the same thing is true for LSU. I think that Mizzou, that was their only chance at being as good as everybody thinks that they should be. What's up there? Shouty. Big Shouty.
Shouty. Golly, I hadn't seen Shouty in a month of Sundays.
I don't know, man. He keeps on blowing me off too. I asked him a little while ago if he wanted to come on. He's like,
Scotty, what the hell, man?
I'm busy. That's how it is, man. Them Georgia boys don't want to hang out and talk to us anymore. Him or Coach I guess. Let Houston and K-State come down to the wire.
They're still pissed off about last season.
Yeah,
I don't blame.
No, yeah, that's what Ketchum was saying. He on his show, on his little BS show that he put out there, he said that you know how many he's the guy that was on there with him. Do you know how many people, Texas fans, have come up and talked to me about the OU game and how disappointed it was? And the other guys, well, how many? He goes, none. None of them care. None of them care. Yeah, right, jackass. It's wow. Like, and I'll say this, somebody, and then it got out there, he said it again and wrote a column about it saying that the rivalry no longer matters. And you had some people that said, okay, if you think of it this way, and we'll talk about this for this long, but if you think of it this way, yeah, it's because they're not on top, and neither is Oklahoma in the SEC. They're in the SEC. There's other games that are going to matter more. I would argue that at least for the time being, and honestly, even if they go to a 9-game schedule and you have your 3 all the time rivals, as of right now, each other are the only schools that you're playing every year in the SEC. So don't tell me, if you want to be a contender for the SEC, that you don't need to win that game, that it isn't important. Because it's the one game that they're going to have. Yeah. It's the one game. So if you lose that one, automatically you're a game behind in that one. Or even then, you know how rivalries are. You could lose that game and you may be ahead of them. You may be ahead of them in the standings, but now they just knocked you off that pedestal in your spot. There's going to be years like that. In fact, that's how it is most of the time. It's not often that Oklahoma and Texas were playing with both teams undefeated even at this point. It hadn't happened often. But you can't tell me that it doesn't matter anymore, because it always will matter. If it didn't matter, then why in the hell did they go together to the SEC? They latched themselves together because it damn sure matters. Yeah. The game is sold out. It's got the highest rating of the weekend every freaking year. Yeah, it's just crazy talk. Crazy talk. Anyway, we can get off of that stuff. Mid-poo Twitter. Yeah, that was funny what they said. Yeah. Copyrighted Sean. I'll tell you what, that copyright against Sean's channel was bullshit. You're allowed to do that by fair use. You can use his stuff under the fair use standards because of there's a number of different reasons that you can do that. Section 107 of the copyright law will tell you that if it's newsworthy, which is obviously newsworthy because you have the whole recruiting thing in Texas and all that, so there's a newsworthy thing. If it's commentary on something that somebody said, then you can use it. Or if you are criticizing, which we know that he was doing that too, he was commenting, it was newsworthy, and he was criticizing Catch. So yeah, if I'm Sean, I am fighting that thing because he could ruin his channel. I mean, if someone was to just, I'm not going to say anything else, but if he were to lose his channel over it, when he's built that channel over the time that he has, you could sue the shit out of Jeff Ketchum and Orange Blitz for that. And it was turns out it was Anwar that did it. Turns out it was Anwar.
Incredible.
Right. Yeah, and if they didn't care about the game, why are they always, every time you say anything on Twitter, there's always a Texas fan running their mouth. They care. They care. So don't even, yeah, you guys are right. Absolutely. OU is their biggest concern. Correct. Okay. Coach, not only are you number one in recruiting, but most of these polls have Notre Dame in the top 5 of their 2 early top 25s. I know you don't care about polls so much, but number 5, what is that? What are we doing?
Texas. It's my new deal. What's this?
I know what that one is.
Put them together. Fuck Texas.
Fuck Texas. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, they did, dude.
Yeah. Talking about the polls, I'm not a big poll. As a coach, hell, I hate the damn polls. I don't give a shit if we're ranked number 1 or we're ranked number 2.
The polls don't matter, but except that they kind of do. If you don't at least start somewhere in the polls, it's going to be hard for you to move up to where you want to be, I think, at some point. I would think that when it comes to, not for Notre Dame necessarily, because of the fact of who Notre Dame is. So, and if you get out there and you go out there and you get a big win in week 1, it's going to make a difference. It'll also, I would say, it would make a difference for if A&M were to win that game somehow too. So
sure.
Mizzou said you're over here throwing up gang signs. I love that shit.
But no, it's kind of cool to see them there. It's been a long time since we've been in that, people even considering us in that position. But to me, I like that top 25. If you can get in the top 25, then let's look at how things matriculate along, and you end up the season. I mean, at the end of the day, we all know that's where what counts. I mean, y'all are sitting in there in good shape as well. What, 13?
I think they're 14th on the ESPN poll, 13th in the athletics poll. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
right there, 13, 14. I mean, to me, like I said, top 25, and then let's let the rest of it unfold during the season. No, it's good stuff. But at the end of the day, the recruiting excites me a hell of a lot more than anything, just from the perspective that
gotta have the Jimmies and the Joes, coach.
And guys, just like Oklahoma's recruiting, and I still believe y'all are, at the end of the day, will end up probably higher in the rankings recruiting wise than Notre Dame. But I think we're going to be right there in the hunt, better than we ever have. Not like we were when we had Brian Kelly, that was too damn busy to go out and recruit kids. He was, he was too busy to get on the damn golf course, and always talked about, well, hell, we can't recruit here. We got to recruit down a different aisle. Well, bullshit. You know what? We don't have to recruit down a different aisle. So, but I think along with that, Jason, I think a lot has changed at Notre Dame in the mentality of, where we're headed and how important football is to the
physicality has changed a lot there too, man.
Oh yeah. Physicality has been a huge turnaround. Again, coaching staff. I mean, look at how we've improved the coaching staff. I mean, wow, just incredible.
Yeah, and I think that's you can see where it's at, and I think we talked about it a lot last week, that where you're hoping is, and I think it's the same thing that you're hoping for with Oklahoma, is that head coaching learning curve to be a head coach. You're hoping that it flattens out. This is year 3 for both of them, for Venables and Marcus Freeman. So, they've definitely shown their chops on the recruiting trail. Again, I think that it's very clear that, yes, you're going to spend money in the NIL. You have to. It's not a question. You're going to do it, or you're not going to have the guys. But if that's all you're recruiting on, if that's the substance of your recruiting, you're losing. You're losing. There's no way you can do that. I think this is where, when we were talking about Dabo, look, Dabo Swinney to me looks like he might be cooked, because now he's recruiting still very well, but they're unwilling to supplement, and at some point you get a little bit behind.
Sure.
I think that you better hope that Wesco and the other kid that they got coming in from this past class is that guy, because they haven't had a receiver that could piss a drop for 3-4 years now. That could get open and make. I mean, it was easy to say that it was DJU's fault, but now they're blaming it on the other kid, Cade.
Cade, yep.
And
Jason, that Dabo, with his resistance of using the portal, he's driving himself out of the profession, and it's unfortunate. I really hate to see, because Dabo's a hell of a football coach, but you've got to change with the times, and he's not willing to do that. I mean, we already see one great coach sitting on the sidelines watching now, because, again, the times, his was kind of the opposite. The times caught up to him and took over what he had been doing forever. And Dabo's just the opposite. He doesn't want to adjust to it. So I think he could be sitting side by side with Nick Saban, previewing games.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's their biggest issue. Well, except that they haven't found a receiver. And who's their last receiver that could take the top off? Because they haven't had him.
It's been a while. Well, I tell you, the last time I thought they had some great receivers was when they beat the hell out of Notre Dame in the Cotton Bowl.
The last year.
They had some dogs. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've had a bunch of them. You start thinking about the guys that they've had since he got there, since Dabo got there and all that. They've had guys, T. Higgins, and I mean, there's a number of guys that are in the league still right now. But D-Hop, absolutely. There's guys in there that have played well, but all of a sudden they don't have a guy. And it was weird because Coach I's nephew was one of those kids from South Carolina. He was one of the top-rated receivers in the state, and he ends up going to South Carolina because they didn't really recruit him. Again, how are you not trying to win South Carolina if you're Clemson? It just doesn't make sense to me. So I don't know, man. My thing is that it's weird to me that you wouldn't do the best that you can when it comes to that stuff, and try to help out your quarterback, because, again, you lost DJU. Now you got to beat DJU at Florida State if you're going to go anywhere. That's going to be
that's going to be a hell of a game. Yeah.
It's going to be a hell of a few weeks leading up to that game. Yeah. Ooh, boy. It's going to be some ugliness.
Absolutely.
I'm here for it. I am here for it. There's a lot of shit going on in the country right now. A lot of hate, a lot of crazy stuff. Hey, look, the other one that I would say, I don't know how much trouble you really put Ryan Day in if he beats Michigan. Now, and he should beat Michigan because Michigan lost so many guys off of their team. Now, they were deep, and they've done a great job of developing, but you better beat Michigan. No doubt about that. If you do that, I don't think he's on the hottest seat in the world, but I know a lot of people think they need to win the if you're not going to win the national championship right now, when are you going to do it? Well, with the defense they have, they don't have the greatest quarterback, but they're loaded everywhere else.
Well, here's everybody's talking about all the talent they're bringing in, and they are. I mean, but again, so did Texas A&M. A&M had wazoos of talent. I'm telling you what, I'm still not a Ryan Day fan. He is not
third base. Shit. Ryan Day.
He has not done shit to impress me at this point. And you know what?
Well, what makes it look impressive is what they've done in the Big Ten. But the Big Ten, aside from them in Michigan, is shitty.
Nobody else is good in there.
Yeah.
You know, hell, if we play them some bitches with 11, they'd have lost another game last year.
Yeah. Well,
Instead of
and
playing
think
with
about,
3
well, and for
10.
sure, if you think about that, way high as far as I'm concerned, way high. I think they've got them 10 or 11 in some of these. It's like, what are you talking about? Why? Miami at number 10. That's kind of funny. Professor, what do you think about that, Mr. Florida fan? Oh, looky here. We goaded him right into that shit, didn't we? We goaded him right into that shit.
Get
Oh, looky here.
Oh, look,
It's a Georgia guy just showed up in the house. Damn, I didn't even know that was a possibility anymore.
What's up, Shotty?
What's up, Shotty Parker? What's up, my man?
How's it going? Can y'all hear me?
Got you, man.
Yep.
We hear you.
Good. What's going on tonight? What we talking about?
We're talking about early rankings and kind of what we see coming on, who's cooked and who's cooking in 24.
Okay. I like that.
I've been missing the glasses, Shotty. I've been missing the glasses.
How's it been going for you?
Ain't went nowhere, coach. Still here.
Tell us what you think. I don't know if you've looked through any of these like early rankings. Now, The Athletic put one out today that they had Georgia number 2 behind Ohio State. I think that's silly shit. We were just talking about Ohio State, that Ryan Day, and you've got these, you got people putting them at number 1. I almost think he needs to win the Natty this year in order to not be a failure with who they have there, right? Although I would say that I still think Georgia is the favorite.
I mean, I think every team goes, especially when you're talking about top tier programs, is to win the Natty. But for Lincoln, to be honest, I think this 12-team playoffs has gave a lot of people a lot of rope, meaning coaches, a lot of more rope. I just think he need to definitely make the 12-team playoff, and possibly win one. And I think he'll be okay.
I don't think making the playoff matters if you're one of those teams, though. I think if you don't go in and win a game or 2 in the playoffs, it's not like making the 4-team playoff. You go in and lose the first round, who gives a shit?
But that's the thing, I would say is you don't have anything else to compare it to. I mean, making the play, it just feels good. It sounds good, whether it's 4 teams, 5 teams.
Fair enough.
Now, a year or 2 down the line, I don't think top programs can use that excuse anymore. But since it's brand new, I think,
Well, I just feel like when it comes to the Big Ten, now they basically added 2 okay teams and 2 that aren't that good, because SC, well, I don't know how good SC is going to be. I think that as good as them not getting D-line help in the portal is going to hurt them in the Big Ten. And I think that it could hurt them of getting, that right now they have that kid from Georgia that's slated to go. But if you look like hell on the defensive line your first year in the Big Ten, why would he leave Georgia? I don't really see Justice Terry. I don't know that you would see him actually leaving. You still got to close that freaking deal if you're Lincoln Riley and company. And with them not getting anybody so far as the D-line is concerned to help Bear Alexander, I think their ass is toast too. I think they're in trouble, man. That's where I feel like I don't see that they got a ton better in the Big Ten to where all of a sudden you think that, oh, well, okay. So big whoopty shit if Ohio State wins the conference championship again. I think you need to show something here. That's just my feelings.
Well,
Coach.
Shotty, go ahead.
Go ahead, Shotty.
No, you go ahead. I was just going to ask a question to both of you guys. I mean, so what do you think winning the Big Ten championship slots these guys? 4, 5 at the end of the day? I'm just trying to think about their matchup.
Everybody loves them in Oregon, and they have to go to Oregon and play. So if they were to win that game and win the Big Ten, of course, because it probably should be them in Oregon playing again for the Big Ten championship thing, you would think, if you're just looking at it from the outside right now, right? Now, that's assuming that Oregon can get used to this travel, which it's a big assumption. That's a big assumption. But, we'll see, because towards the end of the year, I think it's going to hurt those West Coast teams that they're traveling like that. And they're not playing each other that much. I mean, like SC and Oregon not playing. I can't believe that you're not playing everybody in that little pot of 4 to at least get a couple of games that aren't, traveling across every time zone. I don't know. Anyway, Coach, I don't know. What do you think? To me, I feel like I think they're probably at worst. No, I think the Big Ten champion is probably number 2. That's the way they want it set up. Fox is going to fight for that. ESPN is going to fight for number 1. Fox is going to fight for the Big Ten champion to be the number 2 seed. Guaranteed. That's their school. You're going to be fighting over 1 and 2 with, the SEC and the Big Ten. There's not going to be a number 1 seed that's anybody but an SEC or Big Ten team, unless Notre Dame was to go undefeated. Then they might do that because Notre Dame.
I'm gonna tell you what, being ranked 2 or 3, it's a good chance you're gonna be playing against the number 2 team from the SEC.
What do you mean?
In a playoff scenario. See what I'm saying? Like, say for instance, if you're the number 2 team, you're gonna get that bye, right? It's a very good chance you could be playing your first game against the number 6. I think it'll be the 6th seed, which will be the number 2 team from the SEC championship, loser of the SEC championship.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about it. But I think they're going to put 4 in from each conference, probably. At minimum 3, but probably 4. And it may be like 7 between the 2. 1 gets 4, 1 gets 3. But there's going to be at minimum 7, I think. And maybe 8. Just because it's watered down in the other conferences. I don't know that. See, what I think about the Big 12, I think it's going to be a very competitive league but they're all about the same. So what you're probably going to get is a couple of 9-3 teams in the play in that championship game, or a 10-2 and a 9-3, maybe a couple of 10-2s. But if you get 2 10-2s and you end up with a 9-3 second place team out of the Big 12, you're not going to get that team in. You're not going to get that team in at 9-3 because you're going to have 3 or 4 9-3 teams in the SEC. You're not going to put them in over an SEC 9-3. There ain't no way. Ain't no way. Unless you're the champion that you get in over a 9-3 SEC team. They won't allow it.
So, Shotty, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this. In all honesty, what do you think about Ohio State and how good a football team they are? And finally, Ryan Day. What are your thoughts on Ryan Day?
I mean, just trying to be, totally unbiased, just being totally honest, which is what I always try to be. I mean, first of all, we're talking about Ohio State. So we know we're talking about a top 5 program, no matter how you want to slice. You know what I mean? Where they've still been constantly.
They haven't won a natty since the second year or the first year of the playoff, though.
I agree, but only one team can win it a year. You know what I mean? And it ain't always the best team that win it. I'm just talking about them as a program. Them as a program, they're definitely a top 5 program with the way they recruit and with the way they can spend money, the way they've been attacking the portal. I expect Ohio State to win 10 games in the regular season. I expect.
But Shotty, is that not kind of a given anyway?
Yes.
With, I mean,
if they were losing,
that's what I mean by expectation.
They probably fired his ass, don't you think?
9-3, he's gone. But that's what I'm saying. I expect 10 wins. Like, I expect Georgia to have 10 wins. Do we go 11-2 or 12-1 or something like that? Yeah, but I expect us to have 10 wins. Right. Anything less than that, you're talking about not a prosperous season. Like wet went wrong.
Exactly.
In
Right.
Ryan Day's
I
circumstance,
just
to be honest, his seat kind of hot. So like, if he don't win 10 games, he's definitely out of there.
and that's kind of what I wanted to hear from you, because I'm in those same shoes. Is that Ryan Day hadn't done shit for me as far as impressed me in any way as the head coach. He just, I mean, I don't know. I just, again, wins a lot of ball games, yes, but doesn't
So
necessarily always win the big ball
like
game.
this.
Say again.
Yeah. So it'll come down to this right here as a AD or someone who does the hiring and firing. So we're gonna fire Ryan Day, not because of you didn't, not because of how bad you were, but we just got to fire you to find the next guy that can get us over the hump. We need that next guy to be able to win 1 or 2 more games, which are the big games, right?
Well, and here's the
that's
thing:
where my coaching pool
the new AD didn't
falls
hire
down.
Ryan Day, so he doesn't give a shit about Ryan Day.
But you know what? Me personally, I hope they keep Brian Day for eternity. I mean, I hope they just keep sitting there with him.
But think about it. They just brought in the guy from A&M. They just brought in the guy from A&M to be the new AD. This is why they're going heavy in the NIL, right? All of a sudden, they're pumping out that money. And you know why? Because they're not giving Ryan a chance to have an excuse anymore.
Well, and it's the A&M
But that's what
formula that it's the A&M formula that they're going with, and we saw you. I mean, you got to be happy.
I want all the resources.
Right.
Sure.
But then you got to be.
They certainly have the resources.
Yeah. You got to be able to do something with them, because A&M had all the resources, but they couldn't piss a drop. And I'm not sure Ryan Day doesn't fall in that same category.
I would say this: Ryan Day's a lucky son of a bitch that freaking Jim Harbaugh left.
Oh, no doubt.
Because they went from not being able to touch Ohio State to not being able to beat them.
Yep.
Or to not being able to lose to them if you're at Michigan. And, they lost a lot of guys off this team. He should win the game this year. If they don't beat Michigan this year, when they lost freaking 15, 16 guys, you're in deep shit if you're Ryan Day. But you have presided over a complete dominant switch. What was it? Urban had won like 7 or 8, 9 in a row or some shit.
Yeah.
I mean, they were not losing to Michigan ever. And then as soon as Ryan Day came in, and they still have the same people. Huh? What were you saying?
Well, I was just saying that definitely adds pressure. I forgot about that. Jim Harbaugh leaving.
I mean, that's the thing, is that without Harbaugh there, now what's your excuse now? Okay, Oregon, come on, bro. Come on. And you have to go to Oregon. I can understand them losing that game because you got to go to Austin. It's a tough place to go play. I get it. But you don't really have an excuse for losing anymore. They don't have to play. I mean, they're going to play Michigan. I'm sure they'll play Penn State again. Maybe they don't. But, I think that
is it more important?
If they were to lose to Michigan, he better win the Natty.
Okay. That's where I was going. Is it more important for him to beat Michigan or go deep in the playoffs?
Oh, I think he's got to win the whole damn thing if they lose to Michigan. I do. I don't know that that's for sure, because here's the thing. I mean, when you look at his record, you could say whatever, and everybody's like, well, he's only lost so many games. You hear Josh Pate say it every time he brings up Ryan Day. He's talking about, well, he's lost under 10 games, period. Okay. Well, who every time they've played somebody that's worthy of being that team, they've lost. Really, what is this?
Shotty, let me ask you another
This
question.
is 4th year. Go ahead, Coach.
Who's 4th year? Ryan Day? Shit, no, he's been here for like 6 or 7 years now.
As a head coach?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it's year 7. Go ahead, Coach. What was the question you were going to ask him?
No, I was just going to ask Shotty. We talked about this earlier, and talking both about Notre Dame and Texas in the rankings. Some people have Notre Dame at number 5 in the rankings. What are your thoughts? Because I know you give me your honest, biased opinion.
On the preseason ranking?
Yeah. What do you think of the preseason rank with Notre Dame at 5? And then you got OU also up there in the mix.
They're at number 13.
Well, listen, I know a lot of people don't like the ranking, but I look at it like this right here. All we can do is prognosticate based off the information that we currently have, and that's all it's really about, because the season is going to play itself out. But we have to have some kind of starting point. We have to. Now, whether it's right or wrong, generally it's probably wrong. I think the end rankings generally show that. But one thing I will say, I think I put this stat out on one of the shows. I think the last like 7 or 8 national championships have been ranked in the top 8 of the rankings over the past like 10 years or something like that. So they do have
it's
something
not hard.
close,
To me,
right?
it's not hard to get it right as far as the. Well, I think there's a reason that Notre Dame's in the top 5. It's like that. If you look at who they are, they've recruited very well. Right now, they're the number 1 team in the country in recruiting. They may not stay at number 1 because right now they have more recruits than everybody else. And Georgia hasn't really started signing too many folks yet or getting commits yet. But that's because they're in on the guys that aren't committing until later. Same with, and same with some of these other programs. That's fine. But what I would say is that, look, in the end, you're going to have, they've been in the top 10 every year since Freeman's got there. They've got a quarterback that can get it done if he stays healthy. They've got a backup, it looks like to me, that can spin it. Now, he's a freshman, but if you get at least Leonard for a little while before he was to go down, I don't think it's as bad a thing as if, you had to start off the season with him, right? Not only that, they've got a pretty manageable schedule, and that's putting it nicely. That's putting it nicely.
Our schedule is horrible.
But, again, I feel like they're physical. They're big in the trenches. In the long run. They've got a really good defense. They've got a lot of production back on defense. They're great in the trenches, and their physicality is gonna. Plus, they've added some receivers and a coordinator on the offensive side that was really probably the issue last year, if you ask me.
Yeah,
I would agree.
That schedule could be where hurts Notre Dame in the long run, because they could go undefeated
as far as battle testing them
on how they play.
Yep.
They still could continue to slide. And once again, styles make matchups, and some people don't care about where you or where you slide it. But for me, I think it's very important. Home field advantage and all those kind of things in the playoffs make a big difference. So
very important. Yeah.
But with them being ranked number 5, I don't have any quarrel with it right now, because I know the season is going to play itself out. But like I said, they can play as good as they can and still slide based on what some other top teams do and how they play.
Sure.
Yeah. No, I agree. But the thing is they opened the season though at Texas A&M. Notre Dame opens it on the road in College Station against A&M. That's going to be a test game. I don't know. Again, offensively speaking, I think that USC will give them. But from what we saw out of SC and Notre Dame last year, the difference is going to be in the physicality, and they just pushed them around. So I don't really know that that's a great test game. But then you got Clemson, who theoretically could be pretty good. But I don't know that I believe it. I mean, that was another thing we were talking about. I think that Dabo may be cooked, man. I think that he may be cooked. His unwillingness to play the portal game and NIL stuff, they're still recruiting pretty well. But I don't know where they end up in recruiting whenever some of this other stuff falls. Huh?
What's the game that Notre Dame has that's gonna, pretty much let them know where they are at as a program?
I think that week one is not going to be easy. I think that that's probably when you talk about going up against the best talent, it's probably A&M, right?
Yeah. I think week one's a telltale sign. I think, again, you look at our schedule and not much there to tell us much about ourselves. And like you said, that's going to hurt us. It could hurt us in the playoffs. But USC, Clemson, and Florida State. I mean, those are the only other teams we played that even will, give us any competition, I believe. Or should.
Timothy's throwing this up there. I'll let you answer it first. There's Shoddy and then Coach. What would you think if I said it will be between Georgia and Oklahoma for the SEC to win the SEC this year? Shoddy, what do you think about that? I mean, obviously you think Georgia's there.
I don't think
right?
that's out of the realm of possibility. I mean, I don't think that's a far stretch. Well, I mean, either team. I mean, it's not a far stretch. I'm a big Georgia fan, but I'm also a realist. I got us going 10-2. That's just me. But I don't think that's out of the stretch, and I can see that happening. I just think you would have to favor Georgia just because
they're the best team in the country.
The familiarity with playing that big time game. Yeah, that part too. So I mean, you would have to favor us, but I can see that matchup happening. Hey, we just played each other, not too long ago in the Rose Bowl, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been, but not too long ago.
Well, I'll tell you what,
Coach, go ahead.
Pissed. Georgia's pissed off after last year. The way things played out down the stretch, Georgia's pissed off, and you know what? They're going to come back with a damn vengeance, and I truly believe that. I think you better, every time you line up against Georgia next year, you better strap them damn helmets up tight.
Yeah, Casey, the latest poll that was put out by The Athletic was today. So, and it actually has Georgia at number 2, which I think is kind of crazy, but no, I think that, but Coach, did you answer the question? Do you think that those two teams could be there playing for it?
Yeah, I think
that it's a possibility. Definitely. I'm going to say this as the Oklahoma fan in the room, that I've said this a lot, and I think that you may have moved up the plan because of the fact that they did get Dominic Williams and Lole. I think that they were already very, very good on the defensive line. I think they got elite on the defensive line over the past couple of weeks from the portal of doing that. But there's a lot of things that still have to go right for Oklahoma. First year in the SEC and this offensive line thing. The question is, will the offensive line be able to step up and do that, right? I think that they will. I think that it's a new offensive line, not a bad offensive line. So I think they're going to be okay. But I do think that there's something to prove there. And then you have a guy that's a first-year starting quarterback that's got to go through it too. In the end, do I think that I've been saying 9-3, 10-2? I could see them being better than that, but I think that you have to play very well, and they better. We also have to see Coach Venables flatten that curve this year and be a better CEO. So there's a lot of things that are going to have to go right. I don't buy the 7 or 8 wins shit. I don't. I think that they're a 9-win, 10-win team, and they're probably a playoff team. I don't know that they're the SEC champions. I would lean more towards 25, where I feel very confident about that, right? Because then you have a year under these guys' belt. But I do think that the timeline may have moved up this week. I really do. when you got Dominic Williams and you were able to keep him from LSU and keep him from Texas and keep him from Missouri, who are all considered to be contenders, plus you got Lele. If you look at LSU, they're in deep shit on the D line on the interior, and so is Texas. Texas has it on the outside, but they've got a bunch of guys that you don't know anything about. That they have no depth on the inside. Same with LSU. Same with USC. So you may have moved the timeline up there, but that's where you're going to have to find out where or not is this offense going to take that step with them. You know, again, I think if you're a top 5, top 10 defense, then you don't necessarily have to be a top 10 offense, but you better be top 30 or 40, probably, right? What do you think about that, Scotty? Are you with me on that?
If you're talking about making a big dance, you need to be top 30 defense.
Well, yeah, I would say if I believe that they're going to be one of the top,
and your offense going to need
5 or 10 defenses, you better be. You probably don't have to be a top 10 offense too, but you're going to have to be in the top 30 probably. You know, to win anything, to win the SEC, don't you think? I'm talking offensively.
Yeah.
Offensively. But again, that's just look, I think that the defense is going to carry them now, and they have weapons on offense that I'm really not worried. You know that I'm really not worried about this offense. I'm not. But I still think that the best part of this football team, which is what I like, is that their defense, their front seven and their secondary. I mean, I think that this is year 3 of Brent Venables. You're going to see a third-year Brent Venables defense, which has been dominant in the past at both of his last 2 stops. So we'll see.
So the defense is going to be the strength of your team?
I think it's the biggest strength. Yeah. I think that that's where most of your production is coming back. They've got the most defensive production in the SEC coming back. Stutzman and Billy Bowman coming back was huge because they were kind of the team leaders, but you've also had guys that have kind of progressed, and then getting those guys in the front seven. I think if PJ Adebawari has a year like we expect out of him, second-year guy on the edge, they've got some other good edge guys from the portal and through, you know, Deshaun McCullough makes a step forward. You're probably going to see him playing some edge. There's some places that, yeah, I think their front seven is going to make them very good. And the way that Peyton Bowen, man, coach will get pissy about this right now, but he's a 5-star. He was the only guy that was ranked in front of him in that class was Caleb Downs. And when he was in the game last year and not hurt, he made plays. It's good things happen. They've got him and Bowman back. Their secondary looks really good, and it's deep. So we'll kind of see what happens.
Got another one today, another big timer today.
Yeah, Oklahoma's in the top 5 of recruiting right now. They're back at number 4 again, and they still have an opportunity to get Jonah Williams, who's the number 1 safety in the country right now. Some people have him leaning towards A&M. I'm not so sure about it. I don't know. Block 2 punts. Yeah, he's a stud, dude. And he's probably he could absolutely be one of the best kick returners, punt returners in the country. Peyton can. He's just a different. I mean, you know how those guys are, those stud safeties, and that's just kind of where he is. Just kind of where it is. I don't know, man. I again, I'm just gonna say this one more time. I still believe that 25 is their best opportunity, but some things have happened over the last few weeks that could have moved that timeline up. Now, you still got to deal with Georgia at some point if you're going to get there. If you're going to get that far, you're going to have to still deal with Georgia, because I don't think that Texas has a snowball's chance in hell beating Georgia at all.
Your schedule is the great equalizer. That's what's not going to speed up y'all time frame.
Here's the thing though about that. Again, some of these teams I think Ole Miss's defense is going to be tough. I know that they've still got talent in Alabama, but you get them at home. Missouri, they lost the better part of their good defense stuff, and they didn't play nobody last year anyway. What? You can't hear me?
Like you're going out.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
And like you went out for a second.
Oh, okay. I was just saying, I feel like
I don't know if it's me or you guys.
I can hear everybody.
There I go.
Okay.
You there?
Yeah. Can you hear us? Better?
You got to put some more quarters in the machine.
I can. Yeah, I can hear you, and I heard Shawty say you got to put some more quarters in. Sound is fine, Jimmy says. They can all hear us.
Yeah, put some quarters in the machine, then pull the lever down, Coach.
I knew that shit was coming. Again, man, I think that overall you're going to have to – you still got to run through – you're going to – I mean, in order to do this, yes, the Ole Miss game at the Grove, that's a tough one. I got to tell you, the idea of Mizzou being all that – what everybody thinks they are, I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. So, call me crazy. I think that Tennessee is better than they are. I do. So, and you get them at home too, but you got to play.
Have they ever done it back to back, Jason?
Yeah, man, they haven't. No, man, and that's like. Here's the deal: if you think about Mizzou last year, their 6 wins in the conference came against conference opponents that were 13 or 14 and 34 in the SEC, and 32 and 42 overall. They played Georgia, they lost. They played LSU, they lost. And LSU didn't even have a defense, and they got beat. Right? So, to me, I don't know that I buy it. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at with. And plus, they'd lost some guys. Their running back was a big part of what they were doing. They lost their defensive coordinator and their top 2 or 3 defensive coaches, period. Plus, they lost those guys. The best players on that defense went to the draft and got drafted. Same thing I feel about Texas had 11 guys drafted off of the team that went to the playoff, and all these guys from the portal are just going to fit in perfectly and they're going to be fine. Come on.
They haven't been able to do it, in consecutive seasons. So, until they do that, I still think it's Mizzou. It's almost like Kentucky, 1 every 4 years you have a 9-win season.
BDB Sports, what's up, man? How's it going? Not sure I know. I'm not sure I've seen you before. Welcome into the show. Appreciate you coming in.
Jay, for the first time, man, I saw a Buc-ee's. I was on TV and I saw a Buc-ee's. It's like a mega store, like a big Costco with
Shout out to
100 gas stations.
Shout out to Buc-ee's.
Yes,
yeah.
I saw one for the first time on TV.
I think they have them around that area where you're at too.
They're not in Georgia at all, I don't think.
Mostly Texas. And then from what I understand, there's some in Florida, Georgia, or maybe South Carolina. Coach, I was saying there's one down the road from him.
Okay, I haven't seen.
But
can y'all hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Mickey Quintana, judging by the OU cap and Notre Dame vibes, you're going to say Riley is cooked, which has a devoted USC. I can care less. Oh, well, good. If you don't care, then why are you here? Bye. Because he's cooked. Because he's cooked. When you guys didn't get any of those guys out of the portal, for the defensive line, you didn't want to pony up. That's a bad thing when you're going into the Big Ten and they're going to run it up the middle at you all day.
So Mickey, I'm curious what your thoughts are about Riley and USC. I would love to hear.
You just said, as a devoted USC fan, I can care less. But
I'd love to hear what he has to say about him. I mean, what's impressive about him?
That 7-5 looked pretty good, didn't it? With the Heisman Trophy. The quarterback looked real good. Damn, they were good.
Notre Dame thought they were pretty good last year.
Shit.
That's tough to have a guy like that that only wins 7 games. That's definitely a knock on the resume.
No doubt.
With the Heisman Trophy quarterback that went number 1 in the draft, yeah, that doesn't look good. And in the Big Ten, you have to play. Look, the trenches are where it matters. You say it all the time in the SEC. Everybody talks about it. We're talking about conferences. We're talking about conferences. Shawty's the SEC fan. The guy on the left there, BDB. We're talking about conferences that are line of scrimmage conferences. And there's questions on the line of scrimmage at SC.
So you can tell USC, I will get a link.
Did you see this?
He is trying to gear up to change his
Apparently you don't understand USC's in a rebuilding mode. It's not instant rice, it's a process. I understand that. I understand what it takes. I'm not sure your coach gets that part. Portal Lincoln. Portal Lincoln. Come on, man. When's the last time you guys mattered, bro? When's the last time you guys mattered, Mickey?
Don't even go there, Mickey.
And it's not 12 national championships anyway. They've only claimed 7.
The program.
Stop it. Go ahead.
Yeah, USC is a program. After 2 years, you're supposed to be up and running. Like that's a brand. It don't take 6 years to get a place like USC up and running.
Mickey, the deal is,
unless we talking about South Carolina. We're not talking about South Carolina, right?
Not yet. We're not.
No. Mickey, y'all done put the damn car in reverse. Y'all are headed in reverse at 100 miles an hour.
This is why I know this dude isn't serious, because no real USC fan claims any more than 7 national titles. 7. So this is why I know you're not serious. You don't claim 12. Those are given by freaking those stupid. No. I've never even seen that. This is why I know you're not serious. Run along. Not paying any more attention to that guy. All right. and guess what? As Oklahoma guys, we know what Lincoln is. We've seen this movie before. We know what it's about.
Hey, Mickey, were you rebuilding that last year when we thrashed your ass?
Yeah, I bet he wasn't. No. Go look at how many of those are claimed there, Mickey. It's 7. It's 7. JB, watch that stuff. Don't be saying that in here. You're gonna get me screwed with on YouTube. Don't be saying that stuff. Take that off.
Yeah.
They haven't been relevant in a long time. Yeah. What's up, Mike? Mike Jacobs. What's up, my man? How we doing? Mm-hmm.
So what do we have USC predicted?
We're not
in the Big Ten to finish in the Big Ten. 3, 2, 3.
I don't know. I mean, I think that Penn State's probably better, but I don't know. I think a lot of it's going to depend. They're going to have to. I mean, if they try to run the ball on them, if they run up the middle, I think they're in trouble. Yeah, you guys can talk to that guy. I'm done with it.
That's another guy. Franklin finds a way to pitch down his leg too. Now, how much rope he get?
He does. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and you Google how many that they actually claim, Mickey. How many do they actually claim? Because I know plenty of SC fans that do not claim 12.
Hey, Jason, I'm gonna ask Coach this. Maybe you
He just ran. I think he went to go pee. But what are you asking?
After the transfer portal,
what about it?
Been having any?
Well, they went and got their quarterback. For sure out of there. And Riley Leonard looked good at Duke last year. I mean, he did. He looked really good. So, to me, I feel like, I think Richard Shear's saying, I think it's probably maybe 4th or 5th somewhere in that area, maybe for SC. But they could fall apart and not be that good too. I think that's look,
what
man, if Bear Alexander goes down, what are they going to do? What are they going to do if Bear Alexander goes down? They don't have a D line, bro. That's just being real. They don't have a D line. So I don't know what to say as far as
with the money they spend. When you finish 5th in the Big Ten, Riley gonna have some problems.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that.
Well, and here's the thing. There's the other thing to ask about. You remember when you talked to us about when you were getting recruited at Georgia and Notre Dame, and you were going to go to that trip to Notre Dame, but you had just went up to Boston College. You were like, shit, it's cold. I ain't going. What do you think all these sunny California guys are going to say when they get into November and play in Minnesota or Michigan? They're going to freeze their asses off. I think it's going to hurt them again. And not even talking about just the travel. I think it's going to be tough all the way around.
It's funny you said that, man. I don't want to shift tracks, but I heard Stephon Marbury telling a true story. Kevin Garnett, nothing like that. It was just too cold.
It's too cold, hey, man. It's a tough place to live, and I mean, think about it. What
people don't realize that plays a big
Yeah.
difference.
Richard asked, does OU have any other needs in the portal? Needs, I mean, they could probably use another lineman. They may go with another lineman, but I don't know that they have to have it. Again, I think that they're fairly deep. They're young and it's new, but I think that they also have the best offensive line coach in the country. So I'm not as worried about it as a lot of people are. I think that there's just some things that got to happen for Oklahoma to take that next step this season. To me, if I was looking at the timeline, it still, to me, probably looks more like 2025. But I think that some things happened to some key teams this week. Texas being the one that everybody wants to say is it's them in Georgia, and I don't think that it is. I think that even more things have to happen right for Texas to live up to that. Now, they have an easier schedule. There's no two ways around that. But when you figure that they're replacing A.D. Mitchell, they're replacing their entire receiving corps. Xavier Worthy, Jatavion Sanders, Whittington as well. They're replacing probably the best running back in the country in Brooks. Now,
you might have a quarterback controversy.
They might have the second that he struggles in a game, they're going to be screaming for Arch Manning. And I'm going to tell you one thing about Quinn. He's going to have to go see his therapist a lot already. A lot of things have to go right for Texas. So, to me, I think when it comes to the defensive line, they're hurting there too. They lost all their guys on defense, and they weren't where they were good on defense was in the trenches and in the front seven. Their secondary is what got them beat against Washington. Their secondary is worse. Coach, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm having some lighting issues.
You look pretty good.
Good.
Okay.
Well, it's on my end.
Well, I need I mean, we all need a therapist here and there, but it's not great when your starting quarterback is, having stress. What's up, Trace? Good to see you. Yeah, look, in the end, I think that there's a lot of stuff that There's a lot of stuff that has to happen for either of the Red River programs to really compete for the championship this year. But I think that if LSU is the next best team, which I think most people would say they probably are, I think that's what most people are saying. If you believe in Garrett Nussmeier, yeah, LSU. But if you believe in the offense of what they're doing, I like Nuss. I think he can spin it. You know, we'll see. But you never worry about their receivers. They freaking churn those guys out in Louisiana. I mean, that's just how it is. I'm not too worried about that. But if they don't have it, they're concerned. If you've watched anything from down in around Baton Rouge, any of their creators, they
got to play some
deeply
defense.
concerned about the defensive line and not getting those guys either. Deeply concerned, and they should be. What's up, man? Thanks for the sub. You may not like it very long because this is a kind of anti-USC crowd, but welcome in. Thanks for subbing. Bama, listen, and on top of that, Bama, I mean, look, it's still Alabama. They still have a lot of talent in the room. I think you muted yourself there, Shawty. They still have a lot of talent in the room in Alabama too. And if you're listening to, I mean, Nino's living in Tuscaloosa, and he's saying that he believes that Jalen Milroe is special and can have a season like Texas did with Vince Young that year. I don't know about all that, but I think they're pretty good. LSU
Now, that would say
they're
lot
pretty
out before if he could come in and harness Milroe's talent.
I'll say this. He went to the playoff with less talent last year. I mean, not at receiver. Their receivers is what kind of carried their asses there. And I mean, obviously, they're quite. I mean, I'm not bad-mouthing their offense at all, but I don't think that Jalen Milroe is the same kind of thrower, man. I just don't think he is. Now, is he a stud? Yeah. Yeah, he is. He's an athlete. And I guess I see what Nino's saying about Vince Young. But I don't know that I believe that he's going to be able to throw the ball like Michael Penix can. I just don't see that. And I don't know. Maybe they'll cater that offense to him a little differently.
I don't think people realize, the impact that a 12-team playoff is going to have on everybody with having an extra 2 games. The battle of attrition is already major in college football.
Yeah. Continue. Say that more. Say more.
Well, I just don't think people realize the impact that it's going to have on teams. Even the major teams. Just not a lot of teams just not having the depth, and you have more chances to lose now because now you're gonna once you get inside that 12-team playoffs. I'm gonna be honest with you. I know there are going to be teams that are going to probably be generally leaps and bounds better. But at that point, it's any given Saturday or whenever they play the game. It's one and done.
Yeah. Well, and then Ole Miss, I don't think that it's not a one and done. I definitely agree with you there. And I think that's the main reason that they hadn't wanted to move to that 9-game deal yet. They want to make sure that they get enough teams in to this playoff system. And I think that the best 9 and 3 teams absolutely going to go. You might end up with 2 of them. Do one of you guys have your Coach, do you have your speakers on your or the other deal on? Because I'm getting feedback. You don't have the regular deal up there, Shawty, do you? The YouTube page? You're just on StreamYard? Okay. All right. No, and I think that Ole Miss now that's assuming that Ole Miss finally is able to move, and I think that they're going to be good enough. I think that that's probably the one game, and then the LSU game that I think are probably, if you're going to lose, the two games that I see Oklahoma losing would be those two games on the road. Ole Miss, LSU. If you're going to lose, and I mean, I could see that third loss. I mean, it might be Alabama, but I think this is, if you're Oklahoma, this is probably your best shot is getting them at home. And in first year under DeBoer, they have definitely lost a lot of talent. They haven't lost all of it, but they've lost some. So, we'll kind of wait and see. But I think that I also think that this Oklahoma team is coming together, man. I do. I think that it's coming together. They've built in the places that you have to build. They're buying into what Coach Venables is doing. They all seem to love him. And, I think that Bama could, listen, if they go 9-3, I think they're in. And I could see that happening. But look, they have an opportunity. I mean, we're going to find out a lot about them right away. Is it week 3 or week 2 that you guys play them in Tuscaloosa, Shawty?
I don't know, don't let me lie to you. But listen, Jason, to that point though, that's why, once again, the early season rankings are so important. I'd rather start up high than low, because if I lose 3 games, I have a chance to still be up in the in that top 12, as opposed to if I started at 15 and have a 3-loss season. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, well, that's their first expected loss. It is week 4. First they get their 3 non-cons, and then they play you guys at home. They're still, according to our stats that we got from the what is it called? Well, the other professor, it's their little talent index or whatever. That's I was trying to have you come on for Thursday for sure. But they've got you guys favored by 7 so far in their rankings. So we'll see how it goes. But I think that Bama's not going anywhere. I think that Kalen DeBoer has proven that he's one of the better coaches in the country. If you can take Washington and lose, what have they lost? 3 games in a total of, I think they lost 3 games in his first 2 years. One of them being the national championship.
He wins everywhere he goes.
Yep. So it is what it is. We're going to find out. But, and that's where, again, do I think that Oklahoma has a chance? Yes, I think that Oklahoma, they should find a way into the playoff. Do I think they get into the SEC championship game? I don't know yet. I think a lot of things have to happen for that to go down. I think that some things probably got accelerated a little bit with this defensive line. But in order for that to happen, Jackson Arnold's going to have to play not like a freshman, not like a first-year guy. They've got talent everywhere. They've got weapons out there. There's no reason why he shouldn't. But they got to protect him. They got to run the ball well, and he's got to play like a seasoned. He's got to get to playing like a seasoned veteran quickly.
See, he would have. It would have been a perfect storm if football, college football was like it was 10 or 15 years ago, when your first 4 games you played all cupcakes. That would have gave your quarterback time to get himself broken in, get used to the speed of the game and all that kind of stuff. But with you guys' schedule, man, like you say, to your point, he's going to have to play like a veteran coming in.
Yeah, but I mean,
he's going to have a lot of help around him.
His first SEC game is against
mistakes that all rookie quarterbacks make.
Sure. But the good news would be, like, Tennessee's coming in. They're also playing a rookie quarterback. That's your first game, and it's in the Palace. So that's good. Then you go to Auburn. I know everybody wants to tell us how scary it is to go to Auburn. I don't trust Peyton Thorne and what they've got going there yet. And Oklahoma doesn't. That's where ignorance is kind of bliss right there.
Hey,
right?
New Mexico State doesn't think it's that bad.
That's what I was just going to say. If New Mexico State can go into freaking Auburn and win, I mean, look, I'm not saying that it's going to be an easy thing to do. I'm just saying your first road test, being at Auburn, that's probably a test. But these are, I mean, yeah, I think that, again, I feel like this defense could be a big equalizer there. If you can shut down it doesn't take much. Coach, what do you always say? If the other team don't score none, you don't take much.
If they don't score any, it don't take many.
That's right.
That's just the way it is. In defense, guys, defense is still the name of the game. I don't care how you slice it or dice it, and you see all these high-powered offenses. But if you got somebody who can play defense and lock on your ass receiver-wise and shut down your running game, you're going to be in every ball game you play.
Yeah, Richard's right, too. He says, besides Georgia, every team has questions. I think Georgia even has a few questions.
And that's the thing, because people don't understand. Offense don't travel like defense. Defense travel wherever you go. Offense have a tendency not to travel everywhere.
That's
exactly. True. Exactly.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that, and again, that's one of those, again, if you can play good defense, if they're a top 10 defense, they're going to have a real shot. Because I believe that by the time, it's like you said, it's not like you can't afford to lose a couple. You can lose 2 and maybe 3 and still get in, depending on who you lost them to. If Oklahoma beats Alabama and they get a win over, say they beat Alabama and they beat Ole Miss, but they lost to LSU, and they maybe even they lost to Texas. They're not losing to Texas, but let's just say that if you beat Alabama and Ole Miss, you're in the playoff at 9-3. I think certainly at 10-2. Somebody's going to be in at 9-3.
Our defense did. It was our offense that we had a problem with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was responding to a comment. My bad. No, our defense did travel. We only gave up 24 points, I think. Our offense did not travel. We averaged 41 points a game and only scored 24. So our offense didn't travel. Our defense traveled.
Yeah.
That's what you have to do, though. And it's like, and that would be the question about Georgia, I think, is that it's a pretty new defense, right? I mean, you don't have much coming back as far as returning. But that being said, you don't have a bunch of starters coming back, but you still got a bunch of dogs in there that are, it's the next man up over there on that Georgia defense. So I'm not concerned about that. I think there's questions. What are you going to do with Brock gone? What are you going to see out of your quarterback now that he's got to break in some new receivers? We're going to have to see, right? And tight ends. But I also think that that's where you're probably in good shape, Defensively, it's like you said, the defense will travel. They're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think offensively we're going to be good. I just think the issue that we're having is we don't have those dominant defensive linemen that we have had the past 2 years, 3 years. We have good guys, but we don't have those dominant, like those first rounder guys that we just recently lost. So that's the issue that we're having, and that put more strain on the back end of our defense, and it's showing.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah, hey, listen, I was a happy man whenever Caleb Downs went to Ohio State instead of Georgia. I promise you that. Much promise there. Because Georgia because you already got one of the best safeties in the country back there. Malachi Starks, yeah. With him and Caleb Downs, oof. Yeah. Let's see what's up. You think it takes 10-2 to get in? I don't think that you can have everybody go 10-2 though, bro. I don't think it. Yeah. OSU's going to choke in Ohio State. I don't know that they are, man. I think that they're set up to win, but I don't trust their trigger man for sure. They don't have a proven quarterback for sure, but they may not need it with their defense being as good as it is. Yeah, it would have been. Yeah. But none of us have an MLB player walking on as a wide receiver.
That was their problem last year. It's going to only take you so far. You got to have a trigger man.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest problem with their quarterback last year is he just didn't have that killer instinct in him at Ohio State. I think the guy he folded up whenever it came down to big time. Imagine if CJ Stroud's still there that last year. They probably win it all. You know, maybe not, but
Ryan
I don't know.
Davis
I'm with you, Coach. That Ryan Day still got to prove a lot. He's still got to prove a lot.
That's
still
why he played.
Got the Ryan Day factor.
No, absolutely. Looked at schedules and ran stats. Yeah, but that's not going to matter. Okay, so here's. Hold on, Richard. You're going to get one team that goes 11-1, maybe, and I doubt it, in the ACC or the Big 12. First off, the Big 12 is going to be a freaking. They're going to kill each other all year long. They're going to kill each other all year long. You're probably going to end up with a couple of 10-2 teams in the championship game, and you might even end up with a couple of 9-3 teams in the championship game. It would not surprise me even at all if there was one or two 9-3 teams playing in the Big 12 championship. The same is true for the ACC. The ACC, look, they lost a lot of talent at Florida State last year. They brought in some talent, but they lost a lot of talent. And they weren't that damn good to begin with. Sorry, they weren't. I know they were undefeated, but whatever. I feel like you're probably going to run into, look, Utah, K-State. Yeah, Utah and K-State. They could lose 3. Because look at all the other teams that are going to be. Okie Lite thinks that they're all that. They're not. They're going to be middle down the pack. I promise you that happens to Oklahoma State. Kansas has probably got just as good a chance as K-State does. If Jalen Daniels stays healthy, which he hasn't yet, but if he does, watch out for them. Utah's going to be good. That's going to depend a lot on what happens with obviously if their quarterback stays healthy as well. But I also think that UCF is going to have something to say about it. KJ Jefferson going down there, he's going to step in and probably be one of the better ones. Look, my opinion is the best quarterback in the conference is Shedeur Sanders. And all they got to do is be a little better on the offensive line. His numbers were right up there with the best quarterbacks in the country last year. I don't know that I trust CU, and I think they're going through all kinds of hell. But I'm telling you that I think he's the best quarterback. So that's a quarterback league. Who's to say? Texas Tech's another team that's going to be I think that Texas Tech's probably a better overall team. I don't know that I think I like their quarterback better this year than I liked from last year. And I think that I think that dark horse part of it, I think they were a year ahead on that. We're going to find out, but I do believe they're not going to be 10 or 2 or better, dude. I'm telling you, one maybe. There's a lot of good. BYU's liable to be really good too. Don't think that BYU is just going to not be an issue in the Big 12 for people, because they will be.
Yeah.
They will be. They are a real brand. They are a brand that a lot of people love BYU, and they got a lot of money pumping through that place. They can pay NIL. They can. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them being another one. Iowa State looked really good last year with a first-year quarterback. I'm just telling you, there's a lot of parity in the Big 12, a ton of it. TCU 2 years ago was in the national title game. You think they're just going to stay down? I don't. I don't. But the Fighting Granny Panties.
NIL in the portal has just made parity in college football better, period.
It has. There's a lot of parity that's kind of, particularly at the middle level. For that, your elite teams are still going to be where they are, but I think that that next step down has gotten a little better, right? And that's allowed that. Now, I think that you may have some other issues that are coming if they don't get into this rev share and change the playoff thing, because right now the SEC and the Big Ten are overpaying everybody, and so I don't know how long that continues being that way. But NIL. The schools that can afford to continue paying big NIL dollars or whatever will be the ones that can do it. But I don't think that you can keep up forever with the SEC and the Big Ten, and I don't think that they want you to. So I think that that's this idea that the new playoff system is, it's fair for everybody. We know better than that. It's not. And then it was never intended to be. It was never intended to be. Folks, we've been going for about an hour and a half now. If you have not already hit that like button, I need to check and see where we are in the likes.
Like, or dislike. Hell.
Yeah, do something.
Matter. Either way, it helps us.
It does. We've got a total of
20. Have y'all been losing a lot of players to the portal?
What's that?
Has who? Who are you asking? Who'd you ask, Shawty?
Has Notre Dame been losing a lot of players to the portal?
Not really. We lost a couple of we lost a couple of DBs, but we really haven't. We've been. I mean, we've picked up a few out of the portal, but what I like about Marcus and what he's doing with the portal is, and again we talked about it earlier in the show was. All these teams that are going out and building teams on the portal, around the portal, that ain't worth a shit. And he's really taken some quality over quantity, and I think that's a good thing. But no, we lost a couple of kids, like I said, to the portal, but nothing that they were all going to be backups or worse. Because we brought in better players and they could, and Shotty, it's one of those things that I think one of them even left after probably coaching staff sat him down and said, look, you've been here several years now and, we're bringing in some better kids and you're probably not going to get to play a lot. And coaches are going to have those tough conversations with kids. And thank you, coach, for having that, because at least you're letting me know I need to go someplace else if I want to go play. I need to go someplace else and do that. So, but no, to answer your question, Shotty, we haven't been hurt by the portal.
Oklahoma hadn't lost anybody that they weren't expecting to lose or couldn't afford to. Most of the guys they saw the writing on the wall, and you kind of see. I think that's the same kind of guys that you lost at Georgia, right?
Yeah, same thing.
They had to get out of it.
Jason, a lot of people don't understand it.
Go ahead.
And what I was saying is a lot of people don't understand that, the transfer portal, and this is what I say about the NIL. I don't really think people realize, speaking for nobody, I'm just speaking for myself, but I don't think a lot of people realize, I don't think they have a problem with NIL. The problem is they had a problem with is the transfer portal. Because the NIL ain't the problem. It's the transfer portal because the kid get to leave when he wants to. That's the real issue. It's not really the NIL. But what I was getting at with the transfer portal is that I think I told you guys when I first met you guys, people don't realize that we have exit interviews. And a lot of times when you get to that exit interview, that coach is telling you in not so many ways, son, but listen, son, you can't play here. It's best for you to leave. We're not going to take your scholarship. We'll even let you stay at school, but you're not going to play here. But you can be a regular
Same is
student.
true. Same is true
And the
for
kid has
pretty
no
much
choice
every
but
one
to
of the
go
guys.
to. That's the best interest for you to go to the portal, whether you got another home or not.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I
you're
agree, and I think
exactly
it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing, and that's the guys that I think it started with Jasiah Wagoner, and I really like Jasiah Wagoner, but in the corner, that's a deep cornerback room now, and the depth was catching up, and he got hurt too much. I think last year he was probably ahead of the other guys his age that came in at the same time, but he kept getting hurt. He entered the portal, and 2 days later he was at Cal. So that seemed like to me that they processed it, you know. And listen, I love Jasiah Wagoner. I think it sucks that he's gone, but
sure.
Some of those guys that when you're recruiting on this level and you start loading up talent in those places, it's first off, it's probably better off for you, and they need the room. They're still recruiting there because you have to.
You got to get to your numbers, baby. You got to get to your numbers too.
That's right.
That's
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you guys this question. What if you could only enter the transfer portal if you have a chance to letter? How you think that would change things?
Explain.
If you don't have a chance to letter, you're not eligible for the portal. If you don't have a chance to be a letter that year as a college athlete, you're not eligible.
Surprises me to hear that question from you, Shotty. Would be my answer, because you being pro player as you are, and I am.
That's why. That's really why I posed.
Yeah. I feel like
to distinguish my point again, I think people get the NIL mixed up with
exactly.
So if you didn't have the opportunity to transfer as much as you could, NIL would be okay. It wouldn't matter about the money because you can't go nowhere, no way.
Right.
I agree with you, and I think that the NIL has something to do with the portal. It has something to do with the portal sometimes. It depends on when it is. Like this portal, I don't think so. The Richard Shear just brought up Caden Green being a big loss for Oklahoma, and that's not wrong. And that was an NIL loss. That was an NIL thing, although it wasn't just an NIL thing. There was a lot of things that happened there. But it started with NIL and whatever was happening with tampering and stuff. I'm not going to get into all of it. That was a loss, right? We're talking about a guy that, as a freshman, started 7 games at guard. That would have been a good guy to keep around. You can't keep around guys that don't want to be there. But I think that in the spring portal, you're seeing them processing guys because they have to get their numbers right, you know. You're going to see more processing and stuff like that. But I would think it's either that or you're not going to, quarterbacks that leave it during the spring, which is becoming less and less also because of the fact that coaches aren't telling the truth anymore. It's the competition still going on. We haven't decided who our quarterback is. You don't buy that. Neither do I. I don't buy it. They're not going to do that. But I do think that
Jason, I'm gonna take it one step further, Jason, and I'm gonna be honest with you. And it's a sad part of recruiting. People don't realize a lot of times, and this has nothing to do with our coach who is on the line with us now. But a lot of college coaches, they recruit kids without the intent to play them. They just don't necessarily want them at the other school.
Right. No, and I think here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to end up. Well, and I think that what happened with the SEC, for them to make that rule that after spring football, they didn't want anybody going from an SEC school to an SEC school because they already got your playbook. If they just went through spring with you at Georgia and now they want to transfer to freaking OU, you're like, oh no, hell no. You know what I mean? You don't want that. So that was a league wide. They asked Sankey to do that. He did it. The rest of the time, it's pretty wide open. You can do what you want. But I would tell you this, we're getting very close to them shutting down transferring. It's not going to be an all the time thing anymore. It's not. Because they're about to go to a revenue share. And they won't be able to, there won't be limits to NIL, but NIL will be what it's supposed to be, which is endorsements that pay you whatever it wants to pay you. But there will be actual rev share, contracts, that kind of stuff that you're going to start seeing happening. And that should slow down the portal at least some. Because otherwise you're going to have to pay a buyout, which is fine. If you got a contract with them and because here's the other thing I would say. You hear a lot of things about schools that aren't paying what they're supposed to pay the kid or what they promised them. So I think that I don't like that. I think that you saw with Jaden Rashada at Florida, where they offered him, they told him $10 million.
A lot of investment.
Yeah. I think it's got, but you have to get to some point where it's fair on both ends of it, because if you're investing money in these players, then you want to hold on. You want to have some ability to hold on to them. I think that there's always going to be a time that kids are going to be able to transfer. Sometimes things don't work out. I think that that's not going to completely change, but they're going to slow it down. They're going to slow it down. I think that's what they're working on now, because if they don't, what's going on right now is that House versus NCAA. We're talking billions and billions of dollars that they're looking at losing. They're trying to settle that. If they go to court in January over that, you could see really bad things for college football. Really bad things. They're trying to settle it around $2 billion, and they're talking about anywhere from 5 to 10 in the House. So, I mean, that's a bit. You need to settle that and make it happen and make it right. And they're going to make it right. I think that the courts have proven that they're not going to allow them to continue screwing these kids over. They're not. You don't know how you feel about revenue sharing? Why? Oh, okay. I agree. That's all I would say is the only way that you're going to get any kind of control on what's happening with transfers clearly is by revenue sharing and contracts. I think that there should be uneasiness from all of us who want to see college football continue to be what it is. That horse has left the barn. That toothpaste is out of the tube, guys.
And
you cannot cap NIL because the NIL is not what it was supposed to be.
Well, and if you could cap NIL, then you need to cap coaches' contracts too.
Mm-hmm. There it is. It is what it is. Hey, Sooner Lemon, thanks, man. Another membership redoes. College becoming NFL, so I think there should be a pay cap for kids. Like, I don't think kids should make millions at the college level. I don't think that they're going to make millions at the college level on revenue share. I think it's going to be pretty much standard, or at least the money that they give out to each school will be standard. So it'll be up to the school to spend it how they want. That's what it sounds like, which is fine. Yeah. But you cannot, I'm going to say again, and I know this is where Shawty's going, do not you cannot put a cap on NIL. You cannot. Go ahead, Shawty.
You
say it.
Took the words out of my mouth. Like, what other field or profession or what other sport or lane you gonna tell somebody that they shouldn't make this kind of money when they can make? Like, who does? Like, how you they gonna say these kids shouldn't make this money when they make it for everybody? They worth it.
And
like
they abused NIL. The NCAA
they're
is the one that's abused NIL. It's the adults that have done it wrong.
Hell, they're the ones bringing in the money, boys and girls. Shit, they're the ones making
and hadn't
millions.
Been paid. Shawty played college football at Georgia. Shawty, were you a broke ass at Georgia? And you played with some ballers. Hall of Famers.
Yes.
And you broke. And you guys were freaking winning football games. And it's not. I mean, come
Listen,
on.
I'm gonna tell you how. I'm gonna tell you as a man. I'm sorry, I have a delay. I think I have a delay on my side with the internet, so I apologize. It's been delayed all night, so I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm cutting you off. I'm not. I think it's just a delay in my sound, so I
I
apologize.
know what's happening.
But
Yeah,
let
we're
me
good.
tell you how demeaning it is as an athlete. I literally have Game Breaker 99 on a PlayStation 2 video game that I can play as myself. That they made millions on millions of dollars, and I got nothing from it. I'm sitting here playing a video game that's me, and I get I get no money for it.
Right.
But I had to spend money to get the game.
Your jersey being sold in the freaking, your jersey being sold there on the concourse and stuff, or you played with Champ Bailey and stuff. Champ Bailey, I mean, he went on to make his money in the NFL, but not all of y'all did. So, but think about that. I mean, in those days, you couldn't even do that. I mean, we're talking about the guys that literally put the asses in the seats and for these ridiculous ticket prices and generate all this income from these television deals, and nobody wanted to pay them. Right. And there was no reason behind it other than, I've said this before, the thing that I love about this idea of going away from the model that it is, get to a revenue share, NIL being what it is. You don't see the NIL is endorsements. You don't see guys that sit on the bench getting endorsements in the NFL, and you won't see it in college football either if they're doing revenue share. Then it won't, but you can't cap it. You cannot cap what they can do in endorsements. You cannot. You can put whatever things in place to pay them a real amount of money, and I think it should be a real amount of money. I think that it's probably out of hand a little bit at the moment, but I think that there's those 4 or 5 star guys that are defensive line guys or quarterbacks, the what kind of make the world go around in college football, they're going to get more money. They're just going to get more money. That's going to be how it is. But in the end, I would tell you that you can't do that. You've got to allow them to make whatever they can in endorsement money. You have to allow that. But I've never understood how you can sell the guy's jersey and only the school makes money on it. You make all this damn money to go to these bowl games, and it's a shit ton, and only the school makes money on it. The playoff is insanity amounts of money, and only the school makes money on it. Come on. It's not fair, man. It's never been fair, and I've never been for not paying these kids. Now, do I think that the NCAA screwed this up? Yes, I do. Ed O'Bannon started the lawsuit that started all this shit 10 years ago, and the best they came up with was they'll just throw in NIL with no rules in.
NCAA screws everything.
That was the NCAA and boosters and the schools themselves. Don't get it twisted. It wasn't just the NCAA. It is what it is.
Hey guys, hey Jason, real quick, I do want to talk to a couple of things about, I know my poor Irish are getting attacked on about.
Are they?
Yeah, a little bit about, the Catholics are going to pay the money for, and some other things. And guys, let me tell you something. We don't give a damn about money at Notre Dame. We don't need anybody's fucking money. We got more money than we can put 20 colleges together and still have more money. So, talking about the money and also talking about a conference and our arrogance of not wanting to go into conferences. You know what, guys? In a nice way, fuck y'all. We don't give a shit about a conference. And we don't have to be in a damn conference. Okay? So that's all I got to say. Other than that, I don't give a shit.
Oh, I knew that shit was coming. You guys bring that shit on every time. Quit with the. You got to stop with the Catholic stuff, folks. Don't be doing that. Stop with the Catholic stuff. That's enough. But I'm all good. I'm all good with the poking at coach about Notre Dame, but don't bring it about religion and stuff like that. You guys, when y'all start getting political and shit like that in these comment sections, it hurts my channel. Do you understand that? Please don't do that. Okay? Please don't do that. You can talk shit about Notre Dame all you want, but leave the Catholic part out of it. Do me a favor. Sheesh. Get rid of collectors. These players get as much as they can from endorsements. There's no Coach I. Collectors are the reason there's tampering. Oh, no. And look, there wasn't even supposed to be collectors, right, Coach I? They weren't even supposed to be there.
Coach I.
So, I mean, they weren't even supposed to be there to start with. So, yeah. Oh, it'll definitely be on the soundboard there, Lemon. You guys got to stop with the whole shit. How do you really feel, Coach? He says. Oh man, I'm telling you. Fun stuff. Guys, we've been going about 2 hours now. Shawty, tell everybody how to find you so that we can go ahead and get out of here, man. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you for having me, man. It was always a good time to come on and chop it up with you guys. Like minds, and iron sharpens iron. It's always a great chance to get better. You guys can find me on YouTube on Wednesday nights, 9:30. Just my damn opinion. Strap up, put your mouthpiece in, buckle up, because it's always a ride.
That it is.
I love it.
Love Just My Damn Opinion, one of my favorite shows on YouTube. Definitely be in there tomorrow night to watch this one. Obviously,
Scotty, great to see you again, man.
Definitely. We love having you on. We'd love to have old Coach I on again, man. It's been a while since we had Coach I in here. Shit. But it's like I had to go Shawty to get him to come in tonight. Say, man, damn, we ain't seen the Georgia fan around here in a long time. So it is what it is, but ain't been on y'all shows. Ain't had y'all on my shows. Damn.
So you give your brother some heads up and be like, hey, I'm gonna be on in the next hour.
We're always on Tuesday nights at this time, bro, and you're always supposed to come on. So you already know that. So it is what it is. If you want to come on Thursday, we actually going to be doing some cool stuff, but I'll get a hold of you about it later. We're going to do some cool stuff Thursday if you got time. But anyway, yeah. Guys, thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate everybody. Everybody coming in, joining us on the show. Sooner Lemon, Richard Shear, Jimmy Satterfield, all the new guys that have bounced in here in the last few days. Fight on, Natties. Hey, thanks for coming in. All our regulars, Ryman Lemon, Coach I, Boomer 129. Hey, we had Sooner Lemon in here, of course. Who else? Let's see. We've had a bunch. Everybody's been in here. Hankster, Chicken.
Had a good crew.
Oh, always, man. And Sooner Legends, Tony White Chopper. He said he subbed also. Thank you for subbing. We appreciate that. Even what was the old dude that was giving the shit earlier? Yeah, we even appreciate CCJB Thunder OU Sooner, Sooner Legend Podcast, of course, Satterfield, Kim Hurst, Hangster Mike Jacobs, Timothy Green, Ryman Lemon. Guys, we appreciate all of you so much. If I missed anybody, I apologize. Hey, Tracy, of course, Shawty for coming in. Everybody that's been in. Bishop Frank, thank you guys all for coming in. We will see you all on the next one.
See you guys.